Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Turnabout Podcast. I'm your co host, Shrek.
And I'm Fiona.
Are you?
I am. I used to be a
Are you?
redhead after all.
Perfect. And welcome back to Turnabout Podcast. This week, we have something very different planned.
Yes.
We are going by our schedule, which is the new series we're doing. If you're jumping right in, we are covering one game per episode, so you can go back and check the games we've covered. And this week we're doing Investigations 1. We've covered the 2 trilogies, and we're starting with the Investigations games. And we have a very special guest.
A very
this week.
special episode as well.
Yes. Instead of our weekly featured artist, this week we have a guest on for this episode.
Yes!
Please welcome my lovely Tumblr mutual, fanfiction writer, and fellow child hater,
Donkey.
Donkey?
Donkey!
Donkey?
Because Shrek and Fiona.
Amazing. You could have also
thing
picked
going.
the dragon that Donkey dates. Because that's a major.
I should have picked Puss in Boots. Because Puss in Boots is the best character in those movies.
Really
Anyway,
is.
yes. It's true. I am the guest here, and I hate children.
Perfect.
I'm really excited to be here again.
Amazing.
Perfect. So,
Welcome back.
Yes, welcome back.
Thank you. It is great to be back.
Amazing. Snap has played both investigations games. He sped up the pace of his normal playing speed.
Which usually takes like several months to get through one Ace Attorney game. I got through the 2 of them in 3 months together. So I began investigate. I think so. I began Investigations 1 in early January, and I finished Investigations 2 in early April. So for me, that's pretty good going.
Sure. Let's say that. So, we're doing Investigations 1, and me and Lucy have prepared several questions for Snap. Also, before we start, spoiler alert.
Yes.
Yes.
We'll link. Is it your AO3?
Yeah. Probably the best one to go with. I really actually write some Ace Attorney content just for the like aesthetic of tying it into the podcast.
But
On AO3, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh. I was like, what? Okay. We'll link Snap's AO3 and Tumblr accounts
Yeah, sure.
below. So please make sure to go check it out.
absolutely.
And without further ado, let's just jump right into it, because I know, judging by last time, I think this episode is going to be 5 hours long.
Yes.
So, my first question is, just jumping right into it, a bit of an unfair question considering me and Snap already knew it, and Lucy probably forgot, but thoughts on Calisto Yew's twist? Was it obvious? Was she a good villain? And if so, why wasn't she kept for last?
Why isn't she the villain as
Yeah.
opposed to Mr. Alba?
Kirkus Alba, the tree man.
Well, like, part of it is her whole thing is stabbing people in the back. So she gets the opportunity to stab him in the back as well, where she drops the evidence that, like, implicates him, and she's weirdly helpful to Edgeworth as she's getting dragged away. So it reads like, well, I've lost, but it would be funny if my boss also lost. Okay, goodbye.
I do not remember this.
She kind of helps
She drops...
frame Kirkus Alba, like, discover Kirkus Alba.
Does she?
She drops the crossbow bolts And Kay is like, "Hey, miss, you dropped your hair sticks." And
Right.
Callisto is like, "No, it's
How
fine.
the
You can
table
keep
have
those."
turned now. Aris doesn't remember something. Huh?
Shut the fuck up. All I remember, honestly, it's so forgettable, but all I remember from that moment was that art they did, which cuts away when she tries to stab Kay, I think. She takes someone hostage, doesn't she? I remember well. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like she was a much bigger threat when comparing her to Kirkus Alba.
Definitely.
Yeah, I love a lot of how Callisto operates. What like just in general, it's a good vibe of her being like the fake defense attorney and all this. I just really appreciate that. I don't know like how often this happens in the two games I haven't played, but Edgeworth proves with facts and logic that Calisto Yew must have been the killer. And Calisto is like, "Great job. Anyway, here's this loaded gun that I have. What are you going to do now, smart guy?"
Yeah.
That's a weirdly rare move in a series full of murderers.
It reminds me of Dee Vasquez. I feel like I talk about her all the time, but it's kind of the same move of like, you might not have thought this whole thing through when exposing me while I'm very powerful.
But that and Red White are more down to Phoenix, like walking right up to them in their private place of business and pointing his finger. Edgeworth was on like neutral territory. He was in the courthouse.
Yeah.
She had a gun in the courthouse.
What a queen. I don't even know where she hid it. I mean, in most courthouses, you have like the, like the...
and that's like a whole plot point even, that they're like, how did they manage to kill each other in a courthouse?
And then there was like the knife that came out of the evidence.
Yeah.
But apparently Calisto Yew had a gun, which makes complete sense. I don't know. I kind of loved how she was like most villains in the series. Like when we discover them, they go down easy. Like they're kind of like they clap and they're like, "Bravo, Mr. Right, you figured me out." But this time she was just batshit insane to like chaotic evil. Like she was like, "No, absolutely fucking not. I'm not going down." And she pulls out the gun, and like years after, she does it again. Like she almost gets away with it. And going back to the thing you said about how she operates, I love how she's like a master of disguise. I genuinely didn't see it coming if I wouldn't have seen it coming if I hadn't spoiled it for myself.
This was actually a benefit of playing the game so slowly. I figured it out in a really stupid way. I played case number 3, where you meet Shih-Long Lang's assistant, Sheena.
Yes.
And then there was a pretty long break between me playing that and then playing cases 4 and 5, which I did like more in one go. I played 4, I saw Calisto Yew, and I was like, great. I played 5, and then there was one bit where this blonde lady shows up, and I'm like, is that Calisto Yew in a dress? No, it's your assistant lady, yeah. And then I was like, is that Calisto Yew in a dress?
Oh my god.
And I went into the little profile, and I like looked at Calisto Yew's face, and I looked at Sheena's face. Sheena's age is question mark. So
when the characters don't have an age in the Ace Attorney franchise, you know something's wrong.
Yeah, it's usually a bit fishy.
Very fishy.
I love it whenever it just says age dead.
Yes.
Like, that doesn't matter.
Deceased.
But I thought we had spoiled it for you through the podcast.
I think I knew she was bad. I didn't know to what extent.
Oh, okay.
That's interesting.
So
we...
I kind of didn't expect her to show up again. Like, at least in that form.
So this podcast has not destroyed your complete experience just yet.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
There's still time.
Yes. I mean, you still haven't played Dual Destinies in Spirit of Justice, but you have watched our episodes on them.
Yeah.
Those must have been confusing episodes to listen to.
A little bit. My strategy when you talk in general is like I focus a lot on the games I have played and less on the games I haven't. So listening to an episode that was almost 100% game I haven't was a bit weird, but I did it anyway for the child-hating banter.
Amazing.
Yes. And you walked away with both child-hating banter and a debate on whether or not you should sleep with socks.
That's valuable content.
It is.
All the kind of in-between stuff that really makes the podcast.
They absolutely do. So yeah, we stand Calisto Yew. That's the answer.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. 11 out of 10.
And also her
she
design is amazing.
I was just about to say, she has the best earrings in the entire
Her
franchise.
outfit, her hair, even Sheena's outfit, it's so good.
I know. Like, scales, like, talk about making your profession part of your life. Having scale earrings pop off. I mean, okay, you can have the floor, whatever.
I just love as well that it doesn't look weird.
Yeah.
Like in this world, you see a woman dressed in like this kind of, it's a weird shade of green and it's like a 3-layered coat and you're like, oh, it's a defense attorney.
Yeah, of course.
Like, they started with, we're going to make a game about a lawyer. And because it's a video game, we're just going to give him a suit that's blue. And like, that's fun. And then they went from there to this, and each step made sense.
Absolutely. But also, Edgeworth wears a cravat, so outfit-wise...
I was going to say that I think we've come to expect anything after outfits such as Gail Dune or Lisa Basil.
Yeah, it's a bit of a Lisa Basil look.
Yeah.
Like
The
it's
blazer.
not that far from her.
Yes.
But Gail Dune is really... What an outfit. What a look.
And he's a doctor. It's Dr. Ildune.
Dr. Ildune, absolutely. Sorry, Dr. Ildune.
PhD. Perfect. So, Lucy, what is your first question?
Well, my first question isn't even something that I've written, but I just thought about it as we were talking. It's, did the podcast influence in any way, shape, or form the way you played the game? Did you have any expectation? Did you knew things that were going down, or did you just completely didn't affect anything?
I think the last one, because I've said before that just from poking around TV tropes, I kind of know a lot of the big twists. Because God bless them, they try. Christoph Gavin is Apollo's friend, and he teaches him how to be a lawyer. Don't read any more of this information if you don't want to be spoiled. It's like, okay, so Christoph Gavin does something fucked up then. Like, just from the nature of it. In terms of how I play Ace Attorney, that hasn't changed since my very first game when I played it back in 2009 or something. And this might explain why I'm so slow with it. I'm one of those people who... Oh, good, a new NPC. I'm going to present every single piece of evidence I have in order to see if they say anything interesting. And then I'm going to do the dialogue. Like, I don't want to proceed with the story until I'm sure I've heard all of the jokes.
I do the exact same thing. Like, I present everything, and, it's usually only 3 out of all of the evidence that give you a funny reaction, and so you have to sit into the little dialogue that's like... Oh, why are you showing me this? I did this with
Sometimes the "why are you showing me this" animation is like 20 lines of dialogue long,
I know.
and there's like 3 complex
It's
animations involved that you can't skip. But you gotta do it because there might be jokes.
The things
You
we do
can't
for
see me,
jokes.
but I'm suffering.
Aris is not impressed.
He's in pain.
I think I have brain hemorrhage right now.
This is how you get the hidden lore.
That's
all
absolutely
for dialogue, okay? But
Yeah.
you know she doesn't have the patience for that. I mean, I'm not there to play. I'm there to get the story and get the fuck out of there.
That's very fair.
Which, I mean, I'd expect it from you, but Lucie,
Nah. That's why I'm so
seriously?
slow.
You did that, and
I
then
do-
you turn around and support Dual Destinies after they remove investigations.
It
Yeah,
made
'cause
the
that's
game
also part of
quicker.
it.
I played Dual
You
Destiny
gotta
in a
go to
week.
every place.
I finished Dual Destiny in a week. I was sick that week, and I was like, beam, bam, boom, donezo.
The clownery. The clownery. Okay, so I'm happy to know that we haven't, again, completely destroyed your experience as
Yes.
of yet.
Because I do feel
It's
guilty
fine.
sometimes. I think there's part we've cut out of being like, let's not say this because of Snap. I don't want to spoil you.
Perfect. So, my next question is, I didn't know we were doing like Snap-related questions.
Well, that's my
I could
only
have, like-
Snap-related question because I just thought about it right now.
Okay. So, my next question is, does the game develop Edgeworth, or is he simply there? Considering the way Investigations 2 handled his character, but also what we've seen Phoenix and Maya go through, what do we think?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Thank you.
Because while you were, like, when you began that sentence, I was like, no, of course there's a character arc. And then you were like, in Investigations 2. And I was like, yeah, there's a character arc in Investigations 2.
Bloop.
Is there one here?
Bloop.
Am I just mixing them up?
Girl, let me tell you fucking something. I mean, it's not even Edgeworth's game. I don't want to come across as sacrilegious, and I actually wrote some notes because I didn't want to waste too much time thinking about it, but I knew coming in that this was my answer because I think like adding gags such as him being a secret Steel Samurai mega fan added depth to his character and made him more likable to the people who weren't completely sold in the trilogy. But that being said, he didn't have anything to do, and this could literally be anyone's game. Like, it could be Ace Attorney Investigations Bellboy. It, like, he doesn't have something to do. And I think they missed opportunities, such as in episode 4 in Reminiscence. They could have introduced a story arc for him when he fails to see that Manfred von Karma is actually an evil bastard, or that, for example, when Kay comes in, he could act as a father figure.
Yeah, like there's one part near the end where Edgeworth needs to decide whether or not to use a piece of evidence he shouldn't have to seek the truth. And he decides that he should. And then this, like, that's because he decides that the law is made by people and people are fallible, and therefore we shouldn't pretend the law is this magical thing. And that's a good point that the next game, again, actually builds like a theme out of, whereas in this game it's just a thing that happens once at the end. So, yeah, now that you're bringing it up, I'm struggling to come up with, like, does he change meaningfully?
He doesn't.
During these events.
He really doesn't. And it's interesting what you said, because I don't remember anything from the thing you said. about...
I don't remember the exact situation or what piece of evidence it was, just that it's near the end of a blaze, and it's one of those video game moments where you're given a choice. Use the illegal piece of evidence, yes, no. And obviously I hit yes.
Yeah.
But then I reloaded the save to see what happens if you hit no. Basically, everyone bullies him into doing it, where he's like, I don't know if we should, and Shih-Long Lang and Francisca are just like, shut up, idiot.
Oh my god.
Do it. And he's like, they have a point. I should do it. And then he does it.
Yikes. I was thinking, like, I don't remember anything from this, but the way you're saying it is, it's kind of like the game tried to, like, put Edgeworth in the position Phoenix often finds himself in. And I wish they could explore that more, like, since he's out of the courthouse and he's investigating for once, maybe we could see him go through what Phoenix goes through when he's investigating crime scenes. That would be interesting, but they don't really explore that fully. And when you play Investigations 2 and he goes down that path, we'll discuss more of this next episode, but when you compare it, Investigation 1 feels like Edgeworth was just there, honestly.
Yeah. They do talk a lot about how Phoenix's influence changed him, but that's like comparing Edgeworth age 26 to Edgeworth age 18.
Yeah.
Like it's not a change that it's a change that we have seen happen in the other games. It's not one that we see happen here.
Okay. Lucy, what do you think?
I definitely do think that it doesn't change that much from the beginning of the game to the end of the game. And I think they were so focused on the story and making investigation work that they kind of didn't focus that much on Edgeworth's evolution and change of character. For me, this game was almost like kind of a test to see if it worked as a franchise. And then they could really go all out in Investigation 2, and they did a really good job at building a character and having him grow through, like, difficult choices. And I think that's really well done. But definitely, like, he doesn't really learn anything, and it could have been anyone else's game. Like, also his thing is logic. Everyone could have had that thing, you know. Like, it could be Guy's Eldoon's game.
No, it could be Bellboy.
No, the Bellboy should be jail.
No.
I think that's a good point. Not to cut across this quality banter, but the notion of them like testing the water makes a lot of sense, because you hear a lot of spin-offs that are like, this character's popular, so let's just take him out and give him his own thing, and it sucks. So,
what are you thinking of in particular?
They made Friends, which is, I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's a show in America. It's about some friends. And then they made a show called...
Yeah, and they made another show based on one of the characters.
They made a show that was just called Joey. That was just about Joey.
Oh, doesn't he go to LA or something?
Yeah, and it was just... We've removed 5 of the 6 friends.
And it was really
I've never
bad.
Watched Friends. Unconventional opinion.
You don't have to.
Thank you. I mean, just the laugh track, girl. But
it's very much of its time.
Yeah.
But
I thought you were gonna mention a game. I was thinking, like, when you mentioned it that they made a Jack and Daxter spin-off just for
oh my god,
Daxter
yeah.
For the PSP.
They did that twice. I think they made a Clank one as well.
They did. Is it Special Agent Clank?
Yeah. They just took the 2 tiny little sidekicks and they gave them tiny little games. And I think the Clank one did better than the Daxter one, but I don't think either of them did well.
Yeah, they don't sound really attractive.
Whereas I think this is a good idea. Like, I would, in principle, play a Miles Edgeworth game, but definitely they would have still had to put in the work of making sure it fits together in a way that makes sense.
Perfect. So, what's your next question, Bestie Sock?
Bestie Shoe?
Yes.
Well, my next question, we've touched upon this. It's who would you say, like, just for you, who would you say is the villain of the game?
Oh. I honestly, after we've answered my first question, I think it's, Calisto Yew. Duh.
I mean, that's my answer. Who is Kirkus Alba? Honestly.
Tree man.
Tree man. For me, it's Calisto Yew. What about you, Snap?
Yeah, I would certainly prefer it to have been Callisto. I think Alba is fine. Like, he's nothing special. He works fairly well in his role.
He's a good case villain, for sure.
Yeah. And I like the coming at it of, like, he has the power of a final boss in a lawyer game. Where, like, there's only a limited number of people who would be difficult to lawyer at. And who do we have? We have a really good lawyer, would be hard. So, Manfred von Karma. Chief of Police would be hard. Damon Gant. Another one was an ambassador who is, like,
super powerful,
fully leaning into his like international extraterritoriality rights. So, like, it's a good concept, and I'm glad they did it. But he just doesn't really have the staying power of Calisto Yew. Like, he's just not as memorable.
Not to pop your bubble, but I'm pretty sure you know this. Later on, you're gonna also face a queen.
Okay.
Yes.
Is she the lady with big hair?
And big acrylic nails.
Yes.
Queen.
I have seen pictures of her.
But I think you make a really good point,
Aris's
Snap.
Tumblr.
I think what lacks in Kirkus Alba is that there's no emotional, like, connection to the player. Like, it's just a character that you briefly meet. It's a good villain, but for a game villain, it's usually, I mean, for me, when it's really impactful, it's someone that you've previously met and have an emotional connection to, whether it's bad or, like, or good, but it's someone you feel something towards. And
Godot.
Godot.
That's why Godot is the best. Even Marangard, you have a very strong connection to him.
Yeah, because he's your client. But I feel like I'm gonna make a reference, and I'm pretty sure none of you are gonna get it. But in case someone is listening in the year 2078 and just by luck gets this reference, so in Drag Race, there's a lip sync at the end of every episode, okay?
Yes.
And some of the queens pull reveals or stunts, but they have to be timed perfectly, and they have to kind of stick in with the context or their storyline in order to be successful. Because nowadays it's so common that if a queen does the splits, she might even get eliminated for it if it's not timed perfectly. It's that common. So
because it's almost like too easy.
Yeah, let me apply this to Kirkus Alba. I think since they didn't put in the work to establish this character or have the player get to know him, just having him go from a week-old man to like this, I don't know, like
tree
porn star old man, like tree. I was like, okay, that was a really cheap reveal. Like, I don't care though. I mean, sure.
I saw one of the things I saw poking around prior to this episode was he's a war hero. Like, that's one of the first things you hear about him. One of his animations is him showing off his medals.
Yeah.
And there's an exchange where Edgeworth says, isn't every human life precious? And Alba's like, no. So there's like something there where this guy went off and murdered a bunch of people and got medals for it and was just like, hey, this is pretty good. I could just keep doing this.
Yikes.
But that's like one exchange and they don't build anything from it. And like in terms of what you actually get, he is just like, ha ha ha, crime is great and I love having money. It's okay.
I mean,
Perfect.
he did not lie. Crime is great and having money is great as well.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't believe we've gotten this far without me gushing about Kay Faraday, who is...
I know.
It's my next question.
That
so
was my
save
next
it.
question too.
Yay!
Perfect timing,
Actions.
everyone.
Ask your questions, like, over each other.
At the
And I'll
same
try to-
time.
Yeah, I'll try to make out what you both asked and answer.
The K Faraday discourse. So my next question is, what do we think of Kay? She's a thief assistant to the morally ambiguous Edgeworth. Is that a good fit? We've discussed how she can be seen as a repeat of Trucy, considering they both lost their dads at the courthouse and made a father figure out of Phoenix and Edgeworth. When ranking the assistants, where would she place? It's a long
take.
question.
Kay number 1. Maya close number 2. Emma number 3.
Emma.
Trucy number 4.
Trucy.
I haven't played Dual Destinies, but I'm not counting Athena
Yeah, I
as
don't
an
think
assistant
so.
because she has a law degree.
She does. It's not put to
Anyway.
use much,
Yeah,
but she does
I
have
think-
one.
Yeah.
I think some assistants actually have more screen time than Athena. Sorry to break it to you.
Oof.
Yeah. But there's also, I mean, which ones haven't you seen? Oh, Rafa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Rafa and Athena. Okay.
And I guess the whoever's in the prequel one.
Yeah,
Great Ace
Right.
Attorney. I don't know what the deal is with that at all.
but it's coming soon.
I would not trade Maya Fey for the world. Maya Fey is excellent. Maya Fey is a cornerstone of Western literature. Kay Faraday is Maya Fey if she was a thief. So that's like one of the only ways you could improve Maya Fey in my own personal like list of what is good and bad in a character. So she beats out Maya as my favorite. In terms of Edgeworth being like a good fit, yes, because Edgeworth is a lawyer and he's a very kind of calm presence, and just their dynamic being like Kay yelling about how she's about to commit a crime, and Edgeworth in varying states of distress being like, please don't commit a crime though. Please don't yell in front of the police that you're about to commit a crime and then commit a crime. They got a lot of mileage out of that. I enjoy that dynamic.
That dynamic is the exact same as the Vine where the kid is running around with a knife and it's like, what do you have? A knife!
Yes.
It's like, no! That is
No.
Edgeworth and Kay.
I mean, I know you can't see us, whoever's listening right now, but when Snap put K over Maya, both me and Lucy went kind of,
I was shocked.
what? Sacrilege?
No.
But
I think your explanation
I don't know.
stands.
it's a good explanation. It's just that
Yeah.
Sure, she is the same as Maya, but then you have to beg the question, who came first?
Yeah.
Maya was a blueprint.
That applies to all of them. I don't know. Again, I don't know who Ray.
What?
Did you say Rafa?
Rafa.
I don't know who that is, but Emma, Trucy, and Kay are all just like different Mayas.
In a single sentence, you just basically said that everything is a repeat of Maya.
Every assistant, they were like. In fairness, Phoenix and Maya's dynamic is so good that I can see the temptation to be like, let's not ruin this. Like, let's try to recapture this energy.
Absolutely.
Emma is Science Maya, Kay is Thief Maya, and therefore the best.
Trucy is Magic
Trucy
Maya.
is
Magic Maya?
Magician Maya.
Magician Maya.
Yes.
Yes.
Maya is Magic Maya.
Yeah.
Like, she just is magic.
Maya is just Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Yeah.
Could you elaborate?
Clarify that?
No, I don't want to. I'm just going to make that statement.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, no. Kay's great. Here for
K
Kay.
for the win.
Kay 100 years.
Okay.
I don't think I answered all of that question.
Yeah.
I answered it to the best of my ability.
And I think our reaction also answered the question on our part.
I mean, she's great, but Maya is number one in my heart. And Kay close second.
Of course. Oh, yeah, like, it's difficult for me to say anyone is better than Maya. But I just really like Honorable Thieves.
Look, they're both queens. They're both in my top tier, in my character tier list. There's no question about it. The question I'm more worried about is that if they are a match with Edgeworth. Because with Phoenix, you have someone full of anxiety, and then you have someone as chaotic as Maya running around and saying, I want to eat burgers.
Yeah.
It's a good dynamic. But with Edgeworth, it's kind of like, as I said in my question, he's kind of like morally, ambiguous. Like, he struggles with his like morals and ethics and like which side he should be on in the investigation games. And then you have a thief who isn't like an evil burglar. She's just a thief. And she's a thief because it's her namesake.
Yeah.
So
that she sees the honor in it.
Yeah. So I don't know. Thieves go well with everything, I think, but yeah. I think the reason behind your bias is quick context. The way me and Snap know each other is because we're mutuals on Tumblr, which we have dedicated pages on the series Sly Cooper, which is basically about honorable thieves. And
it's about a guy whose dad was an honorable thief, so he's an honorable thief. And there's even Kay's goal at the end of this game is, I'm going to find a handful of people who are as cool as me, and we're going to make a team of cool, honorable thieves. That is just the plot of the video game series Sly Cooper.
Yeah. I want another game with just Kay's honorable thief team.
Yes.
And I want to be part of it.
I was legit disappointed that didn't go anywhere. That there's like one joke where she meets Regina Berry.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, animal taming is maybe a useful skill. But then she's like, no, not this one.
Okay, spontaneous question. Choose 2 characters from the entire series to form a group with Kay.
I did want to bring up Emma. Because I really loved their interaction. where Emma's like, "Oh, hi, yeah, my name's Emma, and I'm studying to be a forensic scientist." And Kay's like, "That's really cool. My name's Kay, and I'm a criminal." And Emma's like, "That's what?"
Yeah.
I think there's absolutely differences between all the female assistants. I don't mean to imply that they are all just Maya. And there's, in particular, Kay is a career criminal and loves it. Hasn't stolen anything yet. Is super excited to start. Emma is not that. She's the complete opposite. She wants to be a forensic scientist and she ends up becoming a cop. I think you could have a similar Kay Edgeworth dynamic, but they're both teenage girls if Kay and Emma went on adventures together.
And who would the third person be? An animal from the series, maybe? Polly, for example?
I was kind of picturing, like, Maya, Kay, and Emma going on adventures.
Okay. The assistants, basically.
Yeah.
The assistant gangs.
We've mentioned this, I think, maybe in the previous episode or 2 episodes ago, but the perfect team, in my opinion, would be Kay and Olga Orly from Apologistas.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know you haven't played Dual Destinies, but
Sasha
Buckler. The perfect trio.
The perfect, yeah.
Do you agree?
I absolutely agree. I was thinking Sasha Buckler for sure. I'm really excited for you to play Dual Destiny for that specific case and that specific character, Snap.
Alright.
I don't know. Regina Berry is a good fit because I do think like it'll be cool to see special abilities. Like she could train animals that could lead to interesting things if we're taking this out of like a thief standpoint. Animals are a good distraction.
Child.
She's grown now.
They're literally all. Kay is 17 years old.
No. We're not doing the age shit right now, okay? Regina Berry is a child and she was coerced into marrying Jeffree Star.
Yes.
She's not worthy of being in the team.
That filthy magician needs to lay off this little child, but Regina Berry shouldn't be punished because she was a victim.
No, she should be punished for putting a man in a coma.
I mean, that's a fair point.
Yeah. That does kind of bring the mood down. That's not what we're about here at K Faraday Industries.
Absolutely not. Okay. So yeah. Lucy, what is your next question?
So my next question perfectly ties with the other one because my question was, Kay is the new assistant for this game. Kay, like every assistant, slightly falls into the Maya copycat category. However, she does stand out and is a brilliant character. Why do you think that?
Crime.
Perfect.
Crime is good.
Let's move on.
Haven't we discussed? I think we've
yeah.
answered it.
But it's like, she's a great character. I do think she has some... Do you think she evolves, like, from the beginning of the game to the end of the game?
Not really.
I think to an extent, maybe. She definitely, she has this very simplistic view of, my dad was a thief, so I'm going to be a thief.
Yeah.
I don't exactly know how that works, but I'm just going to take a run at it and see what happens, and it's probably going to be fine. And then she succeeds by kind of following Edgeworth's example and letting him do his job. So that's arguably a character arc.
Her development is kind of weird because she starts off really strong. She comes in to rescue a hostage Edgeworth, a kidnapped Edgeworth.
I am not exaggerating when I say I gasped the first time she showed up. When she's on top of the crane and her
it's a
fucking
gasp-worthy moment.
And she jumps down.
And the way she jumps like a superhero, amazing.
Yeah. And then she's like, haha, I jumped down. I'm not going to be able to jump back up though. Just bringing it back to the Ace Attorney kind of wavelength of dialogue.
It was such a powerful intro. But then once we get used to her and we get her backstory in the next case, it kind of dies down from there. I mean, she becomes an instant main, and her interactions with Gumshoe are gold. But it's kind of weird that then in the second game she kind of takes a back seat until she gets amnesia.
Yeah.
So it's weird. I mean, she has a strong start and then it goes low and then it goes up again, because by the end of the second investigation game, I think she did have some character development after losing her memories. I think we saw
a more vulnerable side.
Her vulnerable side, because she, similar to Maya, she's always like headstrong and bold, and she'll tackle the issues they face like
optimistic.
Yeah. And after she gets amnesia, she's like frail and scared, and she's like
embarrassed at herself.
Yeah, pessimistic basically. I think it was a really interesting story arc.
I think so too. I think Kay has more character development compared to Edgeworth in the first game. I think she comes to terms with the death of her father and she kind of learns more about it and like she matures a bit. But in the second game, Edgeworth character arc is brilliant, so obviously. But there is this whole new side of vulnerability, and you see a new side of Kay that's interesting. But yeah, I've also just the fact that she's a thief but hasn't actually stolen anything, but is really eager to. I think it's such like a fun character. Like it's so much fun. I remember playing it and being like, "Where is this going?" And when you get to know her, and you're like, she hasn't had a clue what she's doing. She's just roaming around the streets saying she's a thief, and I think that's really fun and very useful. But yeah, a bit of a Maya copycat, but with her own edges.
It's the thing you just said is also very Ace Attorney.
Yeah.
Like a thief who doesn't steal.
Ron DeLite.
I'd like to point out something I learned from the wiki, where you know her nice pink shirt with a kind of vine pattern?
Yeah.
Apparently, that is in Japan what criminals wear.
Yeah, it is.
Like when you're watching like an old-timey cartoon and the bad guys are wearing like black and white stripes to mean they're a thief, Japan's version of that is like this beautiful floral pattern.
And it's usually found on bags. The first time I saw her, I was like, wait a minute. Is that the pattern from Kirby when he turns into a thief? Wait, is everything the same in Japan? And is everything the most beautiful version of anything in Japan? And it is, because tracking it down to my childhood, I found out that Kay's outfit, the pattern on it, was both in Kirby when he turns into a thief and also used extensively in the Wario games. Yeah. So...
Yeah, no, I just learned it here and I was like, that's so Japanese.
It is. It is.
In America, it's like, oh, well, we've got the black and white stripes, but like maybe a leather jacket and kind of like stained clothes. And then Japan is like, just this gorgeous,
it's
lovely
so pretty
material.
I would honestly wear that and be judged in Japan. Thank you for warning me.
Yeah. And the fact that Burn Faraday has a scarf of the same material is a really
That's
nice
great
touch.
Foreshadowing.
It is.
Yeah. The whole thing was handled very well, where like you kind of just buy that Mr. Faraday was probably a great thief because you don't have reason to suspect he wasn't. And then, I guess Calisto Yew was actually the Yatagarasu, or maybe there were two of them. And then the actual dynamic of how that worked really caught me by surprise. That was, I think, very well done.
Perfect. So my next question is, this is the first time the main story doesn't revolve around familial drama from the past, sort of, and instead centers around international affairs. was this a nice change?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciated it. I know what we were saying earlier about, like, Alba's kind of a weak villain because you don't have a personal connection to him. I'm okay with not every story being about, like, 5 people who are related.
Yeah.
I mentioned last time I was on that I don't like stories where it turns out everyone's related, and Apollo Justice is about a woman who has a son who grew up to be a lawyer and a daughter who grew up to be a magician, and then she got amnesia and her second husband dies, and it's all connected. Like, whereas, yeah, this, again, going back to, like, maybe it's a bit of a simpler story to test the waters a bit. This is just what Edgeworth does. He breaks up international smuggling rings sometimes.
That's just a Monday for Edgeworth.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, if we try to name how many familial relations there are in the games regarding the main plots,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
far too much.
Sure enough, Investigations 2 goes right back.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Like, really
Does.
hammering
Everyone is
the
related.
theme of fatherhood.
But even like Trials and Tribulation, which we all love, I think, there's like Mia who's fighting her cousin, like, but she doesn't know it's her.
Yeah.
Like, every case that people secretly related to each other, it is kind of exhausting
Mia's
sometimes.
boyfriend kills her
Yeah.
mom, which is just embarrassing.
Boo-hoo.
Boo-hoo. In my notes, I wrote, it was so refreshing, but I mean, for the first time, we have something which is a family drama. But at the same time, it was a bit hard to follow at times because we didn't know these people, and there's a bunch of names thrown in the mix, and I barely remember what they all had to do with the plot. For example, Dead Man, or Mackerel, or CCU, or Manny Cochin. Here's the thing, when you have Turnabout Reminiscence setting up the embassy country drama and having it be a flashback as well, and then having a Blaze reintroduce the country drama,
Yeah.
it becomes complicated. Bless you.
Thank
It's
you.
gone from one country to
Yeah.
2 countries in the meantime, but it's going back to one country.
Why? I mean, not why, but in Reminiscence, what was all that backstory with people turning up dead in the embassy?
Smuggling ring? Question mark? I think it was just the smuggling ring. Oh, like, the smuggling ring killed Dead Man. And then CCU saw it, so they killed CCU. And then Manny Cochin got away with the murder, so then... No. Oh,
Exactly.
Just the fact that we can't
Manny
explain
Cochin-
it is a great indicator if it didn't really fully make
Yeah,
sense.
Basically.
Manny Cochin killed CCU and got away with it. Then Mackerel killed
Dead Man.
Dead Man.
Why?
Because he caught him
Because
trying to smuggle
I don't
something. I
know.
think he walked into him doing something illegal.
No, he was hired to do it by the Yatagarasu, and then he points at Byrd Faraday and says, "You're the Yatagarasu," but actually, Calisto Yew told him to do it, probably, and then she kills Byrd and him, and I don't know, crime.
This is the second migraine I'm having tonight. Girl.
I think because familial relationships are a great way to make a story more complex. Since they didn't use it, they used other stuff to make the story complex, and it ended up making
That
it a
might be
bit
it.
messy in my mind. Like, it's always the question of raising the stakes. It's like, oh, now we're in 2 different countries at war, and there's an embassy, and they're separated, and it made the whole thing messy. I think it's easier from a storyteller perspective to be like, you should care about this character because they're secretly related, and what. So I think that it kind of explained the messiness, but it is refreshing.
But it doesn't have to be complicated for it to not be familial drama. In the first game, we had Phoenix was friends with Edgeworth, and then Edgeworth became a bitch, and that was it. And it was the most powerful story out of them all. Or even, not to give credit to Dual Destinies, but it was refreshing when Athena... you haven't played it yet, and I don't want to spoil anything, but basically Athena and Apollo are given friends, childhood friends.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I'm showing my cat to the camera.
Good kitty. I do know that, like, every game, Apollo gets more stuff stapled into his backstory.
Yes. Stapled is a very good adjective to describe it. It's little stapled onto him, no reason, and to his back. It's horrible.
In the first game, he doesn't really have much, but apparently he never knew his mom. We learned from context he never knew his mom. And then in the next game, he gets childhood friend, and then in the game after that, it talks about his dad?
Yeah.
But there's more into it. So, in Spirit of Justice, there's also another childhood friend, which was from an entirely different continent.
Oh, no.
Well...
I'm very excited for you to play Dual Destiny and Spirit of Justice.
And Spirit of Justice, yeah.
It's gonna be a ride.
Yeah.
Oh,
dear.
But, yeah. Have we answered this question?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Are we satisfied with the answer we've given?
I am, officer.
Perfect.
Sure.
So what is your next question, Bestie Sock?
My best question, Bestie Shoe, is some people have pointed out that Gumshoe and Edgeworth's relationship can be a bit rocky from time to time in the trilogy.
Really?
How do you feel about the relationship in this game? Do you think it has evolved?
I think, again, it evolves more in the next one. Whereas here it is just playing the hits.
Really? You really think so?
Better... Yeah,
what?
I mean, like... I didn't notice that much of a change between the trilogy and here. He keeps bullying him.
No.
He's a bit nicer than usual, but like a lot of the interactions are Gumshoe saying something amazing. Like we get some quality Gumshoe lore in this game. Like he talks about playing basketball and mentions he plays it with his huge coat on. And just wonderful little mental images like that. And most of the time, Gumshoe says something, and Edgeworth is like, "That's stupid. I hate you." And Gumshoe's like, "Oh," and that's like that. That's just the interaction they have.
But I can't believe you've like said it's better in Investigations 2, where in Investigations 2, after Kay gets amnesia, he literally doesn't show up for the rest of the game.
He shows back up at the
No, that doesn't count. In the first game, you'll remember that he fought over a cinnamon roll with baby K, and he affected the evidence when he left it, and ants showed up on the window of the courthouse. And, like, I genuinely felt... Like, I know you love Gumshoe. I know you, like, really love Gumshoe. He's nodding intensely. But, yeah, but I don't know. I've, like, never had that connection with him in the trilogy. And in the first Investigations game, I was like, okay, now I get it. Now I get why everyone loves him. He's lovable. He's a puppy. But in the second game, he was like, sure, take a back seat, bitch. Well,
you're the 11th most important character here.
yeah.
I really did, because we are specifically talking about the relationship between Gumshoe and Edgeworth. And I really liked seeing, like, the origin of why Gumshoe is so dedicated to Edgeworth. But again, there's like this nice little artwork of Gumshoe saluting Edgeworth at the end of that case.
I remember.
It says, like, I'm going to do everything I can to help you, sir.
Yeah.
And then it, like, fades into brown, and you get Miles's narration, and he narrates, like, this man has followed me every day since.
Yeah.
It's hell. I can't get him to leave. So it's just like...
Poor thing.
It's funny, but it's also like, oh, come on, be nice. He's doing his best for you. It's not very good, but he's doing his best.
That is so sad. It's not very good, but it's his best.
Lucy, what do you think?
I am another Gumshoe huge fan. And we talked about the artist last episode who didn't love Edgeworth because he kind of bullied Gumshoe. And that didn't bother me to that point, but I did note it when I played the trilogy. It's like, because Gumshoe is such a fan favorite, you always kind of feel for him and kind of like, this is a little too far. Like, it's supposed to be a game, but I feel bad for this guy. And I think in investigation, because we're from Edgeworth's perspective, we realize how valuable Gumshoe is, because he is helpful, and I think Edgeworth respects him in a way, in his own unique, weird way, but I think it's showcased better in this game than the trilogy, where the trilogy just hear Edgeworth being an ass all the time. And because also Edgeworth is in the trilogy, like he's in every game, but you don't see him working with Gumshoe after the first game, so I think it's a nice shift.
Honestly,
I
forgot what I was gonna say.
Honestly, deep pause. Nothing.
Honestly,
I think there is some kind of like, because I notice it in anime sometimes as well, that there's a trope of like, poverty is funny.
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna
Our
say.
main characters don't have enough to
Yeah.
eat, but that's just like a zany fact. Whereas like, no, I actually would prefer Gumshoe to have enough
It's
food,
horrifying.
and the fact he doesn't is impacting my enjoyment of this piece of fiction.
And
And it applies to fucking Phoenix as well, where like it's implied he isn't getting a lot of money. But with
he never
Gumshoe,
gets
it's
paid.
just relentless.
when he doesn't have enough to get ramen.
It's so
ramen.
sad.
Yeah.
But I think Japanese culture is different, like it's a different culture for... do you want to say something, Aris?
Go ahead.
Japanese culture has a very different view of work, I think, than like Western culture, where it's kind of, you devote yourself to work. And when I went to Japan, like my host was like, some men buy shirts in supermarket because they don't have time to do laundry. And it was just so intense, and you really dedicate, like you give your whole life to your work. And I think that's a bit of the shock that come with Gumshoe's character. It's like, he does so much, he's paid so little, but yet there's a bit of a shift where it slightly disturbed me when I played it.
Yeah.
I felt bad for him. And in one of our first episodes, we were discussing, I think, that Gumshoe is one of the few characters we haven't seen after the time jump, and you said that he'd be selling chargers in the street at like the lights in the street. I think about that almost every single night before going to bed, and
That
I
is
want
so
to cry.
sad.
I'm playing Rise from the Ashes now, and he says that they kicked him out of criminal affairs at the very beginning of the case.
Bring
And, like,
my baby back.
if he lost his job at the DLC episode of the first game, imagine in like 7 years time, after the time jump, what happened. But yeah, I think he managed to keep that job. even though he lost it like a million times at that.
And in Trials and Tribulation, he makes an amazing sausage basket for Maggey, so we know he has more money for food.
Which gave us the iconic line, I love the feel of little sausages in my mouth.
I love their tender juiciness.
Yes. Just iconic. But yeah, that's what we think of the relationship. An abusive one.
Perfect.
So, my next question is, what do we think of the shift in gameplay? It's quite a big leap from 2D first-person visual novel to whatever this is. Do we wish it was in 3D, or do we like it pixelated? Does the logic game mechanic help bridge the transition or alienate it more? And
I think
just a parentheses. I read somewhere that they meant to have it be in 3D, but they scrapped it.
I think I prefer it looking more like the trilogy, especially if you're gonna have Miles and Gumshoe and Francisca and all these characters who have already appeared. It's nice to... They're not like reusing assets, because it's all from a slightly different angle.
Yeah.
But it's consistent with what we've seen before, and I think that's a good approach. I liked the gameplay a lot. I think it was smart of them to just keep the whole testimony thing, because like I just... That's the best part of an Ace Attorney gameplay wise. So just having Edgeworth be like, this is just like the courtroom. Objection. It's like, sure, I'll buy that. Yeah, and I liked logic well enough. I think that was a good way of kind of lengthening, because it's called investigations. So you have to actually lean into the investigating part and make that more of a game than just clicking on stuff.
I'll answer last because I have quite a lot to say and I also wrote notes. So, Lucy, what do you think?
I really also like the 2D and the pixelated thing. I don't think it would have worked that well in 3D. It's Dual Destiny Spirit of Justice has kind of proven that it's not the best in 3D. I think it works better in 2D.
Yeah.
I love the walking and I love the concept. I think it's very interesting that they did that. I think it separates really well this like mini franchise from the rest of the franchise. Like when you see a screenshot of Investigation, you know instantly it's Investigation because of the way it's set up. And I think that's a really good thing. Like they're gonna reuse part of the trilogy, like the lore, the courtroom, and the court proceeding of like testimonies, but it's also gonna create new stuff. And that walking thing, I think, works great in that case. In the investigation, it gives more like room to search and creates little interesting things. So I really liked it. What was the last part of the question? I think
about logic.
Yeah, I did like logic. It sometimes was a bit chaotic. I felt like there were some very obvious things that I couldn't get across, or some things you had to connect. It was like didn't really make sense. I'm like, oh, sure, but it felt a bit rocky at times. I like the concept. Sometimes in execution it was a bit difficult, but I think it's a good solution when you think of what they were trying to do. Like they were trying to have this new tool to help investigation, but it couldn't really be magic. It couldn't be weird stuff. I think it works. I think it's grounded in reality, but yeah, a bit rocky at times. You're making a very strange face, Aris.
Grounded in reality.
Yeah, it's not like, oh look, I have this magic bracelet that squeeze when people do stuff, or this stone that tells people what they like.
My friend gave me a magic rock.
Yes.
Funny how Lucy went for perception first. the best mechanic in
I
the entire
hate
franchise.
perception.
No, perception is the best, no doubt about it.
Perception
You know which
go
one
do
is the
stuff
worst?
that I won't
No,
name.
shut up. You know which is the worst? A little
Athena's
thief.
thing.
I like Little Thief.
No.
Little Thief is a great tool
No.
to recreate some crimes. Thank you.
No. But we're not getting into that.
Yes. Aris, what do you think of this?
I said what I wrote down because I don't have an opinion right now because my brain is fried after how you belittled perception.
Perception can suck my metaphorical dick.
I said I don't think much of it, but I can't think of any alternatives in terms of style. Like
Yeah.
Snap, you made a post on Tumblr where you magnified the screen and it was like little squares.
Yeah. 'Cause this was Investigations 2, which I was playing on my like high definition monitor, and I figured out how to make the emulator show me like the most of the screen possible.
No.
And it's just an image of Gumshoe, like with his little dot eyes and his like lack of a mouth.
It was
in this really high
it was
definition,
just
zoomed in.
squares. And
You're meant to be looking at it on your DS from like a foot away.
so yeah, I mean I can't think of anything else, but I wasn't such a big fan of the pixelated thing. I think if it was the same as the core AA games, it wouldn't be Investigations anymore. But
Exactly.
but also what kind of like bridges the gap between this transition is logic, because for a mechanic which is called logic, at times it was quite illogical. Okay. I mean, as Lucy said, it was so frustrating when you tried putting 2 and 2 together and it wouldn't let you. I felt like taking 2 toys and bashing them together. I was like, make it make sense. But yeah, I mean, it kind of reminded me of you have to press this testimony 7 times. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's going to unlock a new statement that you need to press again before presenting that specific evidence, but not the picture of that evidence, the actual evidence.
Yes, that's exactly how the judicial system works.
Yes.
I would like to briefly compare this mechanic to... I'm playing the Black Sad video game at the moment, which has a near identical mechanic where you also do big brain time and you think about specific pieces of information you have and try to slot them together. The difference is that isn't broken up by episode. Like you just have... I had 12 pieces of information before 2 of them would slot together.
Oh, wow.
And more relevantly, you get a little notification when you can put 2 things together.
Okay.
So you have 12 pieces of information, you get a 13th, and it says, oh, now you can figure something out, smart guy.
Okay.
So it's, okay, it's clearly this 13th thing I've gotten. I have to see what that works with. Whereas this doesn't hold your hand like that.
Yeah.
And it does get frustrating, but I think that is better overall than kind of defanging it a little bit. And now it's time for logic. Like, you should be able to tell whether it's time for logic or not. From context.
I don't want to take away from your example, but I think a much more creative way they like to do it was logic chess. But we'll save it for next week.
Yeah. Well, I had a quick chat with Aris, and I said, when I replay this game eventually, I'm going to be sad I'm going to misremember, and I'm going to think Logic Chess is in Investigations 1, and then I'm going to be sad when I remember that it is
Logic
not.
Chess was fun.
Logic Chess was
so much fun. And we'll talk about it next week.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, no, bitch. So what is your next question, bestie sacrilege?
Shoe. My next question is...
No, not shoe.
Bestie
your
shoe?
Sock. I'm bestie shoe, you're bestie sock.
I called you shoe.
I thought you corrected bestie sacrilege.
I was calling you shoe just out of spite. This game contained a few recurring characters, like Old Bag, Emma, and Larry. How do you think they handled the recurring character?
I think you said this in an earlier episode, Lucy. Like I said, I really loved that interaction between Kay and Emma. And then, that was it.
Yeah.
And Emma just leaves. And the fact they even have to in both games, Edgeworth is like, Emma, aren't you meant to be in Europe? And Emma's like, yes. Anyway.
Exactly. No explanation.
Can I just say that my next two questions, the next one was, why is Emma Sky in this game? And the following one was, I'll blend them in because I don't want us to repeat ourselves. So It's basically the same. I said the investigations games have a lot of returning characters. In the first game, there's Emma Sky, Larry, Wendy Oldbag, and Mike Meekins. Is this handled well, or does it feel like fan service? Or does it feel like the investigations games were a sandbox for Capcom and the developers who were too afraid to experiment with the main series?
To answer your question with a question. Who on the development team loves Mike Meekins? Why is Mike Meekins in 3 games?
He's a Japanese man who doesn't have time to do laundry, and that's why he buys a shirt.
Exactly.
As Lucy told us. The work ethic.
Yeah. I don't like him.
Neither do I.
Mike Meekins witnessed one of the creators of the game kill someone, and he was he's in every game because they're trying to keep him silent. That's my theory.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah,
I need to pee.
Oh.
Okay.
I need to pee.
I need to get
that was so sudden.
I'm sorry for cutting you off, but I've downed this whole bottle. While we were
You were so sudden. We were shocked. You zoomed out.
Girl, I've been keeping it in since question number 3. Okay?
Oh my god.
Oh no.
Okay. What were we saying?
Emma. Mike Meekins.
I was saying.
Oh, you just said that he held one of the developers. Yeah. And
yes. I really liked seeing Emma back, but it was also a bit pointless because you could have had anyone. First off, you could have had anyone else explain that forensic minigame. Second off, you could have just not had the forensic minigame and the world would have kept turning. So it did feel, that in particular felt, as much as I like the potential of Kay and Emma interacting for more than 2 lines of dialogue, it felt like, oh, here's our forensic science character. We need to have her back for this forensic science moment, and then we'll shoo her back out. Whereas, Wendy Oldbag, I'm not wild about, haha, old lady in love with young man, funny. But they did actually, they built on what was in the Steel Samurai case. They took that and they put it in 2 different points in this game. Pink Badger and Pink Princess. It's consistent. So That makes more sense, at least.
They really did her dirty in both investigations games.
Emma?
Yeah. Here she shows up for no particular reason, and in the second game it's just because Kay has amnesia and people are.
And there's a teenage girl assistant hole that someone needs to fill, and obviously it's not going to be Maya.
And the outfit is atrocious.
The hat.
Little hat.
The pink steampunk hat. Girl. No, it wasn't it. Mm-mm.
I will say I love the animation of her tapping away on her little DS and the numbers are reflected in her glasses. That's brilliant.
Someone made a meme.
That's one of my favorite little...
Of her, like, doing it and the characters looking over her. It's one of the best animations. It truly is. But yeah, I think that apart from Mike Meekins, they wanted to bring back fan favorites. In the second game, they bring back Lotta Hart.
And Will Powers.
There's also Desiree and Ron.
Yeah, I took a screen cap of that. They're enjoying the exhibit together.
And planning their new heist.
I think it's in the Badger Stadium thing. There's the setup is Gaviner's concert.
Yeah.
I don't know. It didn't feel like fan service. It felt like it was right because they didn't force feed it to the player. I felt like they handled it very naturally, and although they brought back fan favorites in such a shameless way, I think the dialogue made up for it, and I think that the stuff they gave these characters to do felt again natural. Like I didn't feel it was fan service. I think the investigations games are truly as like sandbox games, like just experiments for Capcom.
They went absolutely hog wild in... I tried to keep track. I think genuinely like every case in the trilogy has at least some nod to it. Even just small stuff like when it seems like the Yatagarasu flew from one side of the embassy to the other, Francisca's like, people can't fly. And Edgeworth says, actually, I dealt with a case where it seemed like a person did fly, referring to Bridge to Turnabout. And then Francisca says, damn it, I've actually dealt with 2 cases like that, referring to Bridge to Turnabout and everyone's favorite Turnabout Big Top. Or in the Turnabout Reminiscences, like this is just so... If you examine the fire extinguisher... Edgeworth says, man, if you got hit in the head with this fire extinguisher, you would probably have short-term memory loss. Like,
can you believe
really came through with the references?
Yeah.
They just it was like they had a checklist and they were trying to hit as many as they possibly could. Even without going into the meteor stuff of like, yeah, here's Larry doing his usual Larry thing of weird stuff, being in love with a girl, and accidentally implicating himself into a murder scene.
But also Phoenix, Maya, and Pearl showing up as well.
That was so cute.
Yes.
I loved it.
Also,
I loved that cameo. Both cameos.
Yeah, really off topic, but that case never seemed to amaze me. Like, you're on trial, like, you're witness for murder. You see a lawyer sleeping, and you grab an extinguisher and slam his head with it. Like, what is wrong with
felony
you?
assault in the courthouse.
Insane. Like, that case is so absurd. It's so funny. Oh, Jesus.
Iconic.
That was my point.
What do you think overall?
I think it depends. I think what works really well for investigation too is that each cameo feels organic because the way the characters appears fit their natural surroundings. So Will Powers is on a set because he's an actor. Loda Hart is on a scoop thing because she's like a journalist. It feels organic and natural, whereas I do think Larry was really well handled, and that was like, of course he's there because Larry is always there. Like he's always up to something random, and I think in a way you could put Larry in any cases and it'd fit into it. I think that's the beauty of Larry. I like the concept of Emma coming back. I don't like the execution. She was not well used. She just appears for 5 minutes and then she's thrown off to the side. And they do the same thing in Investigation too. She's the only character for me who doesn't really have a, like, it's not her natural habitat. Like, she has no reason to be there at that moment. It doesn't really feel right. And Windy Oldbag, I do like the character. And I like the dynamic with Edgeworth. Windy Oldbag is kind of like Mike Negan. She's been brought up so many times when you think about it. It's kind of like she's a fun character, but not that fun. Like, again, bring back Iris, not Wendy Oldbag, you know. So, so a bit haha for this game, but they handle it much better for the next one.
Plus, just the fun, dramatic irony of this game. Yeah, it came out after Apollo Justice.
Yeah.
And in Apollo Emma comes back and she's 18 years old again, and she's like, "That's right. I'm taking a quick break from studying to be a forensic scientist. I'm going to be a forensic scientist. Just you
so
watch."
So sad.
And it's like, this isn't making me laugh. This is just making me sadder.
Depressing.
It's so sad.
Baby doll, we just played your future, and now we're playing your past again. Like, I have some
you had
really
so much
heartbreaking news.
Yeah, you had so much hope for yourself.
This was one thing I wanted to bring up. I think it's a little bit sad that as a spin-off, characters like Kay kind of only exist in investigations. Like, she's not really mentioned at all in the quote-unquote main games. On the other hand, I have been thinking about how, like, there's no point in Ace Attorney 6 where you meet Kay and she's like 26 years old or whatever, and she's like, yeah, being a master thief didn't work out. Turns out I sucked at it, so I became a cop. She's kind of safe living in the obscure spin-off zone. Maybe she should just stay there for her own good.
Flashback of Gumshoe selling telephone chargers in the street.
Yeah, if we don't hear that Kay's story ends on like an upbeat note, maybe we don't need to hear more of what
That's
happened.
always the problem of making a sequel, because when you make a sequel, you are slightly gonna undermine everything that happens in the like original thing. I've brought up this point before, but it's like with Star Wars, it's gonna kind of we did all of this and it ends on a happy note, and then everything gone to shit and we have newer problems now. So, and I think it works kind of the same. Worse, problem with characters where they change fundamentally who they are when sometimes you bring them back. So I'm also happy they didn't bring Gumshoe back in a way, because I don't want him to be tainted.
Very true.
Very true.
Yes, I'd just like to point out that we're at 1:30 minutes. And
excellent. Amazing.
At the beginning, I was like, we were doing so well with time.
Yeah.
Not really.
Problemo. How many questions do you have left?
I have 4 questions left, and the 3 don't warrant lots of discussion.
Okay.
What about you?
I have 4. And
4?
Yeah, because I've added a spontaneous question, which was like, did it change your opinion of the podcast? Like, right at the beginning.
Yeah. Okay.
But I have 4 that aren't super heavy.
Okay, go next.
Oh, it's your turn.
No, we
mixed it. Yeah. So my next question is pretty straightforward. Least and favorite case of the game.
Favorite and least favorite?
Yeah.
Yikes.
This is hard. It's a pretty consistent level of quality.
Really? Really?
I think so. I think so.
Okay. Least favorite, absolutely Kidnap Turnabout.
That's fair.
No. But favorite, I'm not sure, honestly. I think it's kind of a toss-up between... favorite case is Turnabout Airlines.
That's mine too.
Of course, it is the best. But yeah. Well,
Here's my dilemma, and this is something I was going to bring up. The first two are both very good cases, and I don't know if I would really change anything about them. However, the third case is Where You Meet Kay and Shih-Long Lang, and before that point, neither of them are in the game. So that in of itself is a bit of a weird dynamic. Imagine getting like 2 cases into the first Ace Attorney game before you meet Maya. And I like, oh, the third case is Where You Meet Kay, and Kay has her great entrance, but it is also otherwise flawed. So,
Do you need more time to think?
just
yeah, you go ahead.
funny how we had to reach 1 hour and 30 minutes for Shih-Long Lang to be mentioned in this episode.
I was straight up. If you guys didn't bring him up, I was gonna make my own question. The question was going to be Shih-Long Lang.
I don't have a
Question.
question.
Not in either.
All right.
Girl.
I'm so sorry for the Shih-Long slander.
That's it. Episode over. Good try.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Good night.
Bye.
Lucy, what are your favorite and least favorite episodes?
I think my favorite is Turnabout Airline. I think it's such a great concept of... I'm a huge fan of Agatha Christie and Hercule Poirot, and it's very Poirot-like. It's, a confined setting. You need to work quickly. I think it's great, and I think it's a really good concept, and the characters are fun, and the way it unfolds is really interesting. I do also, like, the last case, you see Larry, and there's the whole, like, dynamic with Shih-Long Lang, Kay, so it also has some, like, really good aspect, but I think I'm gonna have to say Turnabout Airlines. Yeah, Turnabout Airlines. And, yeah, probably the third one is... I just remember it to be frustrating as a case, and I don't think you want to, because it's a game, it's supposed to be entertaining, yeah. That's my very quick answer.
Yes. I'm gonna go with the third one as my least favorite also.
Taste.
Because my goodwill for it is for how it introduces Kay so well. And it introduces Shih-Long Lang well as well.
Who?
But Wolfman, you know who I mean. But aside from that, there is a lot that lacks in it. The villain isn't great. The whole weird Emma thing is the case that is from.
Yeah.
So
why does the villain have such long earlobes?
That I'm sure that made perfect sense to the designer. It's just sort of weird to look at.
Wait, weren't you the one who pointed
Yeah,
out
it's
that it
a sign of wealth, but I still don't like it. I don't like looking at people's earlobes. I'm grossed out by it.
Yuck.
Yuck.
Okay. So what is your favorite case, Snap?
I mean, like, any of the other 4, I think, are good contenders. Number 5.
A Blaze?
A Blaze.
Okay.
I like how it had this true... You know how in an anime or whatever, it's like, all hope seems lost, but one guy bursts in and saves everyone. Turnabout Ablaze just straight up unironically does that 5 times in a row, and it is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Where they each come up with their own way of slowing him down for another 30 seconds so that the next person can come in with their own plan. I was legit into it.
It's pretty iconic. Perfect. So my last heavy question is, and it's like 2 lines of question and then 5 or 8 lines of answer in parentheses.
Okay. No.
I said the locations in this game are extravagant and memorable. We have a plane, an amusement park, and the courthouse itself. Do the stories that take place there live up to the enthusiasm created by the setting, or does the excitement fizzle out?
I'd say they deliver by and large. Like, definitely Airlines does. I think. Although they do sort of like... They have to establish it's a weirdly big aeroplane. It's the kind of aeroplane that you could push a man to his death inside of.
Yeah.
That's not a normal airplane.
When there's like huge planes in media, I'm not quite sure how to feel about it because I've never seen one in real life. Like, for example, Snakes on a Plane has like an entire like floor system with elevators and everything. And
I mean, the thing, that's true, but I've never truly visited a plane. You know, like, there must be, like, a lower part where they put the luggage. I've never been there. Like, I've never fully seen the full extent of a plane.
But this one had a gift shop as well.
Yeah, that is weird. But there are some very particular planes, like the company that's for Arabic Emirates, you know, they're well known for their amazing planes where you can sleep in, and there's, like, tons of things.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing, apparently. So...
Planes do vary a lot. Like, the kind of plane that you would take from Ireland to Britain it just feels like a bus that happens to go into the sky.
Yeah. Are those, like the 4 rows kind of stuff? I've been...
Yeah. Okay. Whereas you do get very fancy planes. You don't get planes that are quite this large. I think this is like completely
comically
fictional,
big.
But I think it would have been very... I think it's all like to the service of making the murder mystery. So I don't... This is a bad video game because the airplane in it isn't real. Like, no.
But carrying a huge fucking monument statue in the cargo...
That is very heavy looking.
And made out of stone?
You're telling me I can have like 2 pounds more on my suitcase and I have to pay extras and there's people traveling with that?
But yeah, I think it's the best location.
It's an amazing location.
It's a fucking plane.
It's a fucking plane.
In my bracket, I wrote, the main culprit for this is Kidnap Turnabout for having the absolute most perfect setting, but throwing everything away for the sake of some useless backstory and some family drama yet again. I mean, you have that image still haunts me at night of that eyeless badger getting Edgeworth from behind.
They do one thing with it, with the like trick mirror.
Yeah.
And other than that, it could have easily not been a theme park.
Yeah. And you have Kidnap Edgeworth, an amusement park where it supposedly has different areas and attractions. You have the setup was great. I mean, you had 4 different badgers running around and it was a murder mystery. Oh, who's gonna be the 4th badger? Who was the murderer? And you're supposed to track each one down, and then they're like, oh, all 3 of them are waiting for you outside. And they're all from the same family. It's that fucking brat and his fiance, that idiot maid with the ring pop. What the fuck was that?
Lollipops.
I hate her. Legit. Then I said this game isn't given enough credit, but it's not because of the characters or the cases. It's because of the story it's trying to tell, and I'm not referring to the embassy drama. I'm referring to the story of Phoenix's antagonist, Edgeworth. I think it has one of, if not the best soundtracks in the entire series, and
Yeah.
I mean, amazing. And similar to Spirit of Justice, it tried something completely new, but unlike Spirit of Justice, it succeeded. It's just the stories aren't the best part. It has so much going for it, and then even the setups are amazing. And I mean, yeah, airlines did succeed, but then the amusement park, everything goes to shit real quick. And then Reminiscence and Ablaze, despite the extravagant setting, like they tried to explain the embassy drama, which as we've proven, like does little to nothing because we still don't know what the hell went down. So yeah.
I did want to note how good the music is. Kay, Shih-Long Lacklustre Yew, and Tyrell Bad, another character we have gone this far without mentioning at all have absolutely perfect like character themes.
You're not the biggest fan of Kay's theme, Aris?
I think it's too silly for her, but you've come to terms with it. I listen to the soundtrack when I study this particular one, so I've gotten used to it. But my favorite, like I could listen to it nonstop, is the Calisto Yew one. Let me laugh at the cool.
Yeah,
it's so good.
It's so like fun and upbeat
and animated,
and then it doesn't change at all once you learn what she's really like, and I appreciate that.
Yeah,
it remains.
It's
really
a versatile theme.
We're all having fun here. Yeah,
but yeah, do you agree with the fizzling out thing?
Yeah, I do agree. I think airlines, great location and great use of it. Courthouse, I really liked it. I really like to explore the different kind of rooms that we have in the courthouse, and we really understand better how it's like located and the I never really understood that where we talk outside of the courtroom
like
is I've never really understood where the lobby were in the first trilogy. I think this gave a better view of where everything were. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of amusement parks. Like I really, really like them, and I think they could have maybe done something better. Like I wanted to see Edgeworth on a slide or something. That was my only goal.
Fight on a roller coaster.
Yeah, that was so cute.
Perfect. Are we satisfied?
Yeah.
Perfect. So, what is your next question?
My next question begins with a story. I was introduced by this game by my brother. For a very long time, I did not meet a single person who knew of its existence. Like, every time I talked about it, no one knew what it was. Until, I don't know why, in biology class one day we were talking with our teacher, and I brought up this game, and he was like, oh yeah, I know it. And we started talking about it, and I learned a shocking fact. This man had only played Investigation and not any of the other games. Just Investigation.
Amazing.
And this begs the question, do you think this worked as a standalone game? I was like, it's a shocking story, isn't it? Yeah, I was like shocked. He was like, I've played the Edgeworth game, and it was like, excuse me, like the first one. He was like, no, the Investigation. I was like, so shocked. I was astonished.
I love Star Wars. I've only seen Rogue One.
No, that sounds perverted. Okay, it sounds like I eat cereal, but I don't actually eat the cereal. I just pour milk into the bowl and drink the milk.
The spoon.
Exactly. It's a shocking information.
What the hell?
Like,
It's perverted. No,
I'm gonna say this is a very good video game, but
Mm-hmm.
no,
it doesn't.
don't start here. This is a good spin-off. It does a great job of
Spin-offing.
taking the Phoenix Wright games and going in a different direction from them. And as we've established, it doesn't shut up about the Phoenix Wright games. It keeps bringing up stuff. This would be really weird
I know.
to start with.
Isn't that
That's
insane?
really interesting.
This is a man you said you wanted to marry?
No, I did not say that. Originally, I had made an internal promise that I would marry the first man who knew about Ace Attorney. It turned out he was my biology teacher, so I revoked that promise to myself. But I was so
The
shocked.
law is made by
Exactly.
people. You have to
Should be
able to-
changed as time goes by. But it was just like so unexpected because like it must be so hard to play. And also, all main 3 games of the trilogy are translated in French, and Investigation isn't. So he like didn't even play it in his own language. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's so insane.
It sounds so perverted.
This man
I
should be
can't,
put in jail.
It's gross. It's gross.
Let's talk about Unhinged.
It's like if someone was conceived by the ass. No, I'm not having any of this. And do what you will with that reference. But it's not really a reference. It's just me being disgusting. But honestly, you can't play any Ace Attorney game if you haven't played the first.
They get very referential very quickly.
Even I feel like the only one you could, even though I have absolutely no basis for this, is DGS. Because it's something
Maybe,
way different.
And it being a prequel.
Yeah, as well.
I'm sure that they'll still find
Yeah,
to
that's a good
reference.
point.
There's a bit in Investigations 2 where young Ray Shields says, like, the Godot coffee thing. So I imagine that there'll be, like, there'll be references to Phoenix Wright, but they can't be, like, they can't talk about in-universe things that haven't happened for a century.
Probably.
That's a good point.
Probably. We'll see, won't we?
Yes.
Very exciting.
Oh.
Perfect.
Okay, best issue. You have the floor.
Perfect and disgusting. So, my last actual, like, normal question is, choose a case to give to Phoenix and Maya involving a trial as well. So, you'd investigate the investigation led by Edgeworth, but you'd play as Phoenix and Maya, and then you'd go to court.
So you would have to be defending someone.
Yes. Neither of you know what to say.
Oh, I know, but I was waiting for Snap.
Oh, you go ahead in that case.
This weeds out completely Turnabout Airlines because it wouldn't be fun. Like, you can't go back for the second day investigation and go back to the plane and it being like a kind of claustrophobic thing.
But they did land the plane.
Yeah, but you get what I mean? I think, like, what worked well with this case. Yeah, it would kind of take away from it. My answer would be potentially the one in the amusement park.
Same.
I think it would fit really nicely, and I think we would definitely see Phoenix and Maya riding a roller coaster. We would see that. It's very them. And it would give... I think we could keep the backstory in the courthouse and have more time exploring the amusement park.
That was going to be my answer exactly as you said it, because if we got the familial drama out of the investigation, it could be so much fun, and then we could just unfold it as a twist in the court proceeding, and Maya could go bonkers about the amusement park.
And Pearls could be there too. Yeah. Like, there could be fun interactions all around.
Yes. What about you, Snap?
That's a pretty solid answer. I think I would also like to see what interactions between Phoenix and Callisto would look like. Both pre and post, knowing that Calisto Yew, defense attorney, does not exist. And she's just this terrifying criminal spy. Because we have it a little bit. We have Kristoff and, like, I think they do talk about how Robert Hammond wasn't a very good defense attorney. But there is always that kind of danger of a defense attorney's good, prosecutor's bad, and kind of like... It's not even in this case, because she's literally not a defense attorney.
That would be really interesting, because I haven't thought of that. Phoenix doesn't interact with a lot of defense attorneys, so I think it would immediately take her side, whatever happens, because like she's a colleague, and feel like naive. He'll be so naive, and if they did interact, for sure he would have confronted her like an idiot. Like that's the one thing we know for sure, and that would have been very fun to see.
Oh God! Phoenix.
Don't do this to yourself, Phoenix.
When you said pre and post, I thought you were gonna say pre and post time jump. So we were gonna see Phoenix interact with her as a lawyer, and then see him interact with her as a hobo. Papa Han era.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say as like a student who's super naive. The other time jump. All three Phoenix.
Wow. You're a really cool lady. I think I'll become a defense attorney too. And Callisto's just like, that would make
Let me give you a necklace, Calisto.
Callisto takes out her fucking revolver and shoots children. Bye.
Phoenix speaks
she
once.
Phoenix,
he like breathes next to her and she murders him on the spot.
I kind of wanna write fan fiction erotica for Calisto Yew and Raymond Shields.
Aww, that would make... But I think he's so sleazy
washed out attorneys.
Yeah, but he's so sleazy that he was like annoy her immediately, I think.
Ugh.
He would be like, where's my hug?
I think
she'd shoot
she
him.
has better taste.
What?
That is true.
She would
shoot
absolutely shoot him.
She would. Yeah.
What were you saying, Snap? As you said...
I just said I think she has better taste than
Does she?
does
she? If she hangs around,
we don't know for sure, but
I feel
she
like
does explicitly say that. Yeah, she like calls him handsome. So
this might be like
Girl.
a controversial take, but I think Calisto Yew is into pegging men.
Yeah.
as you should. As you should.
That sounds about right.
Perfect. So, before we completely go into the disgusting sexual stuff, what's your next question, Bestie Saw?
I have two final questions. My first one is, did you miss the court proceeding?
Not really,
No.
because it had the bones of it
Rebuttal.
in there anyway.
Is it rebuttal? What is it called?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like the
rebuttal.
cross-examination.
Yeah, so I would have missed that, but it was right
Yeah.
there. So, what else do you have? A judge.
Yeah, but you do see
meet
the judge.
We do
You
see
My
the judge.
initial question for that was, did you miss the judge? But then I watched the walkthrough and saw the judge, and I was like, I'm an actual fucking idiot.
How old is that guy?
That guy is immortal.
Because he was old when Edgeworth was starting, and then he's still there when it's Apollo's career.
His name is like the question marks, I think.
Yeah, he's just called
The judge. He has no name, no age. He's just an immortal being.
Immortal, but like
Yeah.
73.
Imagine if it's like turns out he's like, just like 23 and he's just bald and has dyed gray hair. That would be nice.
Oh,
I look.
that would fit with some of the fucking
Yeah.
ages in this franchise. Like,
I'm Courtney Justice. I'm 24 and I'm a judge. And I also have a son.
I'm straight up, don't get me started on
No,
that.
We'll talk about it
Actually
next
gonna write
week.
about that
No.
next episode.
But yeah, I was just about to say, I hope we see the judge in his teen years when we play DGS.
Oh, I hope so.
Oh yeah,
That would be
like he's
so
going to
good.
college.
The judge, the college years. He's in a sorority.
He's got like braids in his beard or something.
Amazing.
Perfect. So do you want to ask your next question so we have the fact
Yeah.
Mary kills back to back?
Let's just get it out of the way and then fuck, marry, kill. My last question is a very important one. What is the best name of the game?
This is entrapment. You want me to say dead
No.
man?
Yeah.
I think honestly, I really like the ring Kay Faraday has. I think
It is a cool
it's
name.
a very
Girl,
fun name.
hold up before I book my tickets to Ireland and come whoop your ass, because the last time we had you on, you made a whole fucking deal about Jacques Sportsman. That's the answer.
Jack Sportsman
That is
is
the answer.
amazing.
Jacques Sports.
That's-
Please say it with a French accent.
Jacques Sportsman.
Me.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in.
That was all the content you needed. No more, no less.
That is my favorite. Oh, I also remember that Maggie Byrd is in this game.
Yeah, she's in the first case.
Yes. Right there at the start.
So we do know that her and Gumshoe are going strong.
Yeah.
I think they
They're going something.
they're going. They're going
I
somewhere.
hope after the time jump, she's selling phone chargers in the streets.
That's a lot of
Perfect.
sentiment.
If that's the last question before the short wrap-up questions, here's my question. What makes Shih-Long Lang the best character in Ace Attorney?
Thank you so much for tuning in.
You have.
I can't believe
We're giving you the floor to rant about Shih-Long Lang right now.
I'll keep it
You
brief.
have 2 seconds.
All right. So a lot of characters in Ace Attorney kind of just have one thing that they say over and over. And like Kay's is, I love committing crime. And that's brilliant. That's what makes her such a good character. Shih-Long Lang has 2. If he just had... I'm the descendant of a philosopher, and he says this. He would be the worst character in the game. However, the other one he has is, on every level except physical,
Wolf.
I am a wolf. And that is so fucking funny. I got so much mileage out of him as a character. I started off ironically loving him, and that lasted like an hour at most, and then it was unironically loving
Snap,
him.
I have a very short question. Is Shih-Long Lang a furry?
Yes!
Thank
Okay.
you.
Clearly! Very obviously.
It,
There's no way he's not a furry. There's no way he doesn't
A
have
fursuit.
several internet accounts. Yeah.
imagine being at a crime scene and someone is found dead. He's bleeding. It's like carnage, and in the distance you see an idiot howling, like literal howling, like a wolf.
He actually outright howls when he's upset.
It's amazing.
I'm sure you've seen the concept art where his designer wanted him to be shirtless.
Yeah.
And the game's director was like, no. And the designer was like, what if we put a feather boa over his nipples?
Amazing.
And the game's director was like, put him in fucking clothes. So they did eventually. But that's why he still has that big kind of furry lining to his jacket. It goes over his nipples. You might notice.
His nipples are very secretive and they deserve to be hidden. None of you guys
Yeah,
know a Harry Potter musical, do you? It's a musical centered about Harry Potter. It's how I learned English. It's a very deep connection. But they portray Lupin as a like maniac, always covered in blood, and his underwear like just kind of. That's how I see Shih-Long Long. Like he shows up at the most random times, howling like a wolf. Like he's a maniac. I love
Half
him.
naked.
Yeah. It's time for the fuck, marry, kills.
And I apologize in advance to Snap because this is usually when the fat tree pops out.
Oh, there's not going to be any censorship this time.
No.
I'm not going to be protected by the bleeps. I'm going to have to hear
You
what
have to
say.
live in my world.
Oh, this is so exciting.
I'm not gonna go into too much detail, but I have two very good fuck, marry, kills. The first one is fuck, marry, kill Yatagarasu edition. Tyrell Bad, Calisto Yew, or Burn Faraday.
Oh no, that's kind of hard.
Well, I know who I'm killing.
Oh.
Burn Faraday.
No.
He's so boring, and he has an unsymmetrical face. And I'm having hot sex with Calisto Yew, and then I'm marrying Tyrell Bad.
Shut up and go have sex with your old biology teacher who has just played Investigations Only. Okay?
No!
An enviable fate.
Please. What if he's listening now?
Hi.
The problem with killing Burn Faraday is that you would have to live with the knowledge that you took Kay's dad away
I'll
from
adopt her. Problem solved.
As her father's killer.
That's a Manfred von Karma move.
Yeah.
And
I
we're
could
not
be the
about
villain
that.
of a new Kay Faraday game. Kind of like in Rapunzel, Mother Gothel.
Okay,
Yeah.
you two are taking way too long. Kill Tyrell Bad because film noir was 50s and it should have stayed dead.
Yeah.
Fuck Calisto Yew because she's hot, and marry Burn Faraday because why not? He looks like a domestic person.
Yeah, fucking rip to my man Tyrell. I really love him, but I think I would kill Bad, have sex with Calisto Yew, and marry Burn Faraday, and thus become. That's how you adopt Kay Faraday.
Murder is the only
You don't have
option.
to fucking. No. No.
So who would you exactly fuck or marry? Tyrell Bad, Lucie?
Yeah. He'll be like my hot older husband.
Girl, I'm
He does age magnificently.
He's such a
He's
silver
60.
fox.
a silver fox. Girl, I'm sure he smells like an ashtray.
It's a lollipop.
Yeah.
It's a lollipop.
It is a lollipop.
It's a cigarette, okay? Period.
It's a
he looks
lollipop.
like he looks like cancer.
And what about it? I like my man crusty. You know this.
So you'd marry Calisto Yew?
No, I'd have sex with Calisto Yew.
Oh, and marry
Yeah.
Tyrell Bad?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's your next one?
You'd be his nicotine patch.
Yeah, and also my last name would be Bad.
It would describe your opinions very well.
Oh my god.
So, to wrap up this episode, Fuck, Marry, Kill, Himbo Edition, parentheses, I'm sorry, Snap, Jack Sportsman, Colias Palaino, Shih-Long Lang.
Kill Jack Sportsman because he just needs to go. He's a great tutorial villain because you take one look at his face and you're like, I can't wait until I never have to look at you again.
And he does show up again.
Yeah. Because the cases are out of order. So he shows up at the end of 3. I would fuck your man, the ambassador, and I would marry Shih-Long Long, and he would post on his Fur Affinity account about our life together
A fairy.
every so often, in between werewolf porn.
Werewolf porn.
It's the same thing of like you often say like, "Oh, I'm fucking character A so that I can marry character B and like stay to get a consistent source of fucking from them."
Absolutely.
I have no strong connection to the ambassador guy. He's just like
It'd be a one night stand.
he's fine.
He's
I have very strong opinions on marrying
Yeah.
Blang and killing sportsmen. So
But
that's just third.
the ambassador was literally the sweetest. He gave us free stuff.
I really like how he has this fucking shifty ass
Yeah.
hand motion where he clenches and unclenches
Kind of
all
like
his
Frank
fingers. And it turns
Soet.
out, no, he's just nice.
It's very similar to Frank Soet, kind of.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But actually, it's just a thing he does with his hands, and it doesn't mean he's a murderer.
Oh my
Turns
god.
out.
Lucy, what would you do?
I would kill the ambassador. I don't know how to explain it, but he's greasy and smell like weirdly soapy. I'm not a huge... Also, he's blonde. I am blonde as well. And I think couples who look too alike are weird. Am I the only one? Like,
This is some
it's just...
quality testimony.
Like,
where you're on
I'm
the stand and you're
disturbed
like,
by
Your
couple
Honor,
who look too alike.
I'm blonde. The victim was blonde as well.
Kill all blonde men is what I'm saying.
so
So
you mean
I would
couples
have...
that look like each other are weird?
Don't they, like, couples who
Like
look
for-
like siblings?
Like, for example, Apollo and Trucy?
Yeah, if there were a couple,
Yeah.
I would be
That
heavily
would be a
disturbed.
bad couple.
I don't like it.
Okay, so...
But I would probably have sexual intercourse with Jack Sportsman. If he's into sport, he must be endurant. And he must have some moves. And also, he's kind of an asshole, so I wouldn't feel bad just having like a one night stand with him. You know,
Okay.
I would be willing to kick him out
Wouldn't
of that.
catch
I wouldn't
feelings.
catch feelings. And I would marry Shih-Long Long because I love fursuits.
Yeah, he'd be able to hook
He
you up.
would. I'm sure he has some amazing deals.
You guys are sick.
What about you?
Uh-huh.
I'd marry the ambassador because
Of
he's an
course.
ambassador and he's the sweetest, most loving person with strangers. So imagine with his significant other how sweet he'd be.
That seems pretty solid.
I'd fuck Shih-Long Lang because why not? And I'd kill Jacques Sportsman by burying him like up to his head in front of a like a soccer goal and then shoot soccers until his head popped off.
I didn't know we could come up with this scenario.
You can't, it's just me.
A very
Because I'm a
intense
lunatic.
That's fine.
fantasy.
Yeah, you thought that through.
Yeah,
I mean, sportsman.
It's
He
too
deserves to go
detailed.
out in a sporty way.
to be.
Off the cuff.
I have sexual fantasies about how I kill Jacques Sportsman late at night. Yes.
Is it what
After I
keeps
have
you
nightmares
awake?
about Gumshoe selling iPhone chargers in the street.
Loads of Ace Attorney dreams and thoughts before going to bed.
It's low-key kind of my life. It's taken over my entire life.
I understand.
You did start a podcast.
We did. We did.
Yikes. So, at 2 hours long, more than 2 hours, that was the episode.
An amazing episode, if I can say so.
An amazing
For an
episode.
amazing
I had
game.
loads of fun.
Same. Thank you, Snap, for
Yes.
joining us.
What did you think of the episode,
Thank
Snap?
you very much. I had a lot of fun.
And we
Yeah.
have some very good
We had a lot
news
of-
for our viewers. Snap will be returning next episode. So the fun
Yeah.
continues.
Yes.
I managed to not... My main concern here was, like, using all of my investigations to talking points. But I think I've saved pretty much all of it.
We have loads to discuss.
For next time. Yeah.
Perfect. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Please go check out the links we'll attach below for Snap's websites and accounts. And yeah. Lucy and Snap, what are you going to do after this?
Snap, you have the floor.
I'm going to go to bed and continue reading the book I am reading, which is Reaper Man by Terry Pratchett, which is a nice book about the Grim Reaper being forced into retirement, which I read when I was like 11. And I remember reading it, and I absolutely did not get most of it. But
isn't it amazing when you rediscover something and you're like, oh my god, I did not understanding what the point of this was.
Yeah, like, I don't know how I read those books, because they're definitely aimed for an adult audience, and I was like fucking 11. But I'm rereading that whole series, and I just got to Reaper Man, and I am looking forward to it.
Come on, fiction.
Excellent reading. I have a similar experience to you with Sex and the City, where my sister, who's much older than me, watched it in the same bed as me growing up. So I always kind of peeked and saw parts of the episode. It was so not appropriate for my age range. It was very graphic.
It's literally got sex as the first name
and
of the
loads
title.
of sex scenes. And I rewatched it last year, and I'm rewatching it now. And it's like, this was distorted by my child's vision. I did not understand any of the point it was trying to make. It's so funny.
Completely relatable. One time when I was little, I walked into my mom watching Sex and the City, and it was a scene where Miranda has her boobs out.
When she's peeking to the neighbor?
I think so. And I just saw it and started crying.
Immediate reaction.
It was an immediate reaction. I started bawling. Legit.
Oh no.
That's how I knew I was gay.
Pretty good indicator. Show your child Sex in the City and see how they react.
Yes. Perfect.
So what are you going to do now, Aris?
What about you?
I'm going to do the dishes, I think.
First, you fucking bitch. What?
I think I'm going to do the dishes. Very exciting.
Okay. Very exciting. As soon as we end this, I'm going to go write fan fiction erotica for Raymond Shields and Calisto Yew.
What would be the name of it?
Let me laugh at the creepy pedophile.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Tagged for major character death.
Smut.
Guns. Gunshot. Gun wound.
Perfect. So, thank you everyone for tuning in.
I'm just picturing all of the weird smut I've read over the years. This should be a whole other episode. Finding the weirdest Ace Attorney fanfiction and reading them out loud.
Wonderful.
Don't bring this disgusting shit into our outro.
Okay. Amazing.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope to see you next week when we'll be returning with Snap in the Investigations 2 episode.
Yes.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Thank you, everyone.
We'll see you next week, and thank you for listening.
Good night.
Good night.